All right, now, let's get to this. This is a very big deal. I've never seen anything like this before. These recent headlines. The New York Times, how Trump would govern and why a second Trump presidency may be more radical than his first. The Atlantic, if Trump wins, the threat a second term poses to American democracy. Washington Post, a Trump dictatorship is increasingly inevitable. We should stop pretending. So, would a second Trump presidency mean a dictatorship? Trump has said, I am your retribution. Do you believe he has these kinds of diabolical ambitions, that he wants to change America forever? Let's debate. Political commentator, reporter Scottie Nell Hughes, former Ohio State Senator, co-chair of Bernie Sanders' 2020 presidential campaign, Nina Turner. Nina, do you believe that Donald Trump wants to win again to destroy our democracy?
I mean, to believe that would put this man in the orbit that he wants us all to put him in, which is to pretend that he's stronger than the republic itself. The republic must be kind of weak if there is this wholesale belief out there that Donald J. Trump himself can bring it to a crashing halt. I don't believe that. Now, President Donald J. Trump probably believes that. I mean, everybody loves him. All you got to do is ask him, and he'll tell you that they do. But I do not believe. I believe there's a bunch of hyperbole in these headlines. That does not mean that he's not formidable. He's definitely formidable. But to be able to dismantle this republic, I don't think so.
Scottie, first of all, that's a very candid answer, playing against advantage by Nina Turner. I respect that. But isn't this a gift to the campaign, Scottie, with independent shade to the right voters who don't really like Trump? And now they get to see the media obviously trying to convince them not to vote for him. Can't that backfire?
Chris, it's like they don't learn from history. And we look back to 2016 and some of the same debates that I think the three of us had. We had this same issue in gaslighting and fear-mongering coming from the opposite side to Donald Trump, and it only played into their favor. But let me give a little Civics 101 test here and put all of those people who might actually think this could come true, their fears to rest. Our forefathers had much more of a foresight into the mechanics of our Constitution, and they are governed. The federal government has to protect our natural rights. And that is exactly, we are far from what these countries that would have a dictator, places like North Korea, Cuba, we are far from that. So regardless of who's in office, we still have several great mechanisms in our Constitution and our government to protect us from a dictator ever coming. Which brings me to believe these educated writers who try to throw these terms around, one, it shows that they are a part of a very biased media. And number two, they obviously don't know civics and know that all they're trying to do is fearmonger. And guess what? Every hero needs a villain. But let me tell you something. Joe Biden is not a hero.
All right. Bounce question for both of you. First for you, Scottie. Neither of you mentioned January 6th. The best thing that the writers have going for them is that Trump and co. tried to steal an election and did it in plain sight and have no shame in their game and say they did the right thing, which suggests maybe they would do it again, Scottie. And is that enough to justify fears that this guy is going to take down the democracy to get what he wants?
Absolutely not, especially considering we're continuing to find out more and more truths about what happened on January 6th. But let me remind you, they're saying that Donald Trump is going to take more power, going to become a dictator. One of the number one reasons that defines a dictator is when you shut down your opponents and when you shut down anybody that doesn't happen to agree with your narrative. This is exactly right now what our federal government, what the Biden administration is doing with January 6th. When you prosecute people without actually telling them what they're being prosecuted for and hold them in jail like they've done with the January 6th, many of those for 3 years, they're just now starting to tell them what they're charged with. At this point, when you look at it, if anybody is going down that path of being a dictator, it's this current administration, and the Democrat Party going with this strategy is going to be an ultimate fail because the people can see through it. They're smarter than that.
Joe Biden said today, Nina, that, and you can take the question any way you want, but he said to donors, hey, if Trump weren't running, I probably wouldn't be. You believe he's your best chance to beat Donald Trump?
No, I do not, Chris. I believe he's going to lose. I mean, there are polls out there that shows that even a generic Democrat, not even a progressive in my lane, but a generic Democrat could beat this current president. I want to go back to what the American people who are answering these polls have said time and time again. They don't want to see this current president or the former president go head to head. They've been very clear about that. They haven't equivocated on that. In terms of how the Democratic Party wins, Chris, this is not 2020. So to replay 2020, my party is making a grave mistake.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of News Nation's fact-driven coverage.